Hello everyone, my name is Uthris and welcome back to StarMade. So you'll be noticing here that we're watching a nice new sunrise on our wonderful home base of a planet. We left off last episode. We found this place to call home. We built kind of our first beginner ship, and that ship's really just to get around and to get some basic resources. And we started crafting. Now, in between episodes, you notice this area is a little bit bigger. I went ahead and gathered a bunch of more resources in general and started crafting more and just kind of set up a basic factory in this set. The blue tubes connecting these, they're just lights. They're not actually wires or anything. It's just so at night I can see what I'm doing. We have 3 storage containers now. We have this thing, which takes scrap material and reprocesses it back down into its base component, either the alloyed metal mesh or the crystal composite. We have a bunch of these capsules, and this factory is empty, of course. And then we also, well, I built a standard factory. In the standard factory, basically the tier 2 factory, you guys can see kind of even more items. I mean, there's circuitry, it looks like, of some kind, different computers, modules, standard armor, which is different than your actual HP to your ship. We got cameras, cannon barrels for building weapons, damage beams, damage pulse, docking enhancer, docking modules, faction modules, factory enhancers. And these factory enhancers, they do, produce these basically greater effects. So when I process things, it tries to process 3 of them at the moment. If you press C on an item, you can see what it's hooked up to. So this one's hooked up to these 2. This one's hooked up to those 2, and so forth. You'll be probably wondering where the ship is from last episode. Short answer is I had to dismantle it. I was running away from pirates, and it got damaged fairly severely, and I figured it's about time I get kind of an official salvage ship going. And again, this is going to be a very beginner ship, and so I crafted a whole bunch of parts. We have a fair amount of reactor for power. We got 18 thrusters. We need a salvage computer. I made a bunch of hull, and this is basic hull. It's not even armor, so it just gives a little bit of HP. Some glass for our cockpit. We need 1 ship core here to make that. I'm gonna put on some shields and a shield recharger, and then of course we need the actual salvage barrels. Now, I'm gonna explain once we get started here. We're going to name this thing, we're gonna name it a light salvager, because there is kind of a cool thing that I do want to show you guys once we get there. So building on the planet is not recommended, as well, essentially it doesn't like to build here because of the how do I want to say this, not so much the shape of the planet, but basically the terrain gets in the way and prevents you from placing blocks. And so, hold on, I need to roll up this hill, or maybe I should actually just add a thruster to it so I can actually get out of here. And there we go. This is enough for a little shuttle. You can see how quick our acceleration is just when this little setup. So an escape pod could easily just be this. If you had a large ship, I mean, this is all you need. I increased the max speed for the save from 75 meters a second to 100. So I figured it's a nice even number to sit at, and basically just makes going from point A to point B a lot quicker. So we're going to come out here go back into build mode. And I'm going to hit the advanced build command, which brings up this menu. This is how you rotate blocks to certain directions. This is, you can build large parts at once, like large cubes of sections, or remove sections by doing that. You can turn on symmetry and all that, but I don't think I'm going to mess with it just yet. So this is kind of, you know, the cockpit area. You'll notice multi-blocks of the same type are going to stack. So like our hulls stack from these slopes and cubes, so we can just select them both. It really kind of saves inventory room. So we're going to be, I have to turn this around like so. So when I get into this thing, I can still see out. So that's the wonderful thing about glass. It allows you to actually see where you're facing. Beyond that, we need a little bit of power for our salvage vessel. And I think the salvage is actually going to be underneath the cockpit going forward. It's going to be a very bottom heavy kind of ship. I'm thinking something like that. And again, these squares are basically automatically assuming it's there for a power. Same with these. It's a very basic power kind of setup to do these kind of T junctions to generate additional power. As you can see, our recharge rate is 1,000 at the moment per second. Could have sworn I had some power storage, but I guess we don't quite need it. We're going to lay down our salvage computer right there. And last time I explained basically how these things work, and it's going to be a little bit of a different setup for these. So we're going to make this barrel. It's going to be 5 long for each section, and these sections, as you know, to make separate outputs, they can't be touching on the sides. They can be touching on the corners, like so. And basically right now it's treating that as a 4-part salvage computer. But there's these gaps missing, and so it's not just digging a solid hole. It's going to be a little scattery. And to fix that, what I'm going to try and do is this. So we're going to have a back part of the barrel, and then an even more forward section. And this section here is going to fill in our gaps, as you can see. So now this will actually shoot, in theory, I'm hoping I'm going to have to test this, in a full solid beam of salvage. It's not showing up for some reason. It's taking power. Maybe because I'm shooting off into space and not hitting anything. That's something to test eventually. So you can see this ship's gonna have quite a long barrel on it, and we're gonna cover that in armor and try and make it look a little nicer. Make these outputs. If you've been wondering what this little arrow is, it always points to the front of our ship, which will help you guys always find where we are. Then let's go ahead and try and make some thrusters on here. Shaped like that will be pretty stable. Then at this point we can add some hull. And in fact, so these capacitors, these shield capacitors that I'm about to add, they act like the power supply thing, and what it does is it increases our total shield capacity. The shield recharges. The more of these you have, the quicker your shields recharge. And so now you can see we get a charge rate of about +5 shields per, is it second or what? Yeah, 5 a second, up to the cap, and our current cap is 436 HP to shields. That's not a whole lot. In fact, it's maybe enough to absorb one little hit, which isn't great, but it'll do us just fine initially. So this barrel is just going to extend down all the way. And we're going to leave the gaps because, well, there's really no point in me worrying about that. And it shaves some weight, so we keep some acceleration, which is great. Now normally you could be using the advanced build mode to essentially lay down these large sections at once, but I'm just kind of measuring it out by hand in this first test. We're going to scroll up to our sloped block here and try and make our barrel shape. There's not so much any hotkeys like in Space Engineers or Medieval Engineers for laying this stuff out. It's all just using this little window to rotate, as far as I know. I could be completely wrong about that. In fact, there's just a really high chance that I am completely wrong about that. But this is the only way I know how to do it this time. Just have a little flat bit there. Something like this. So we can get some type of variation, and then can put a side window and another side window. I'm not really, I don't have the correct block for these, but that's fairly normal. And again, this isn't going to win any beauty pageants. It's just something a little bit more utilitarian than the last ship. So our acceleration's okay. Is this even working? I mean, it is draining a lot of power. Let's test this on an asteroid. I believe there should be some nearby. Let's bring up our map. Usually I see it when I head to the shop over in this direction. So let's start flying. Hopefully I won't run into any pirates, because this thing has no way to defend itself besides just running. Okay. No pirates. Great. Oh, there are some asteroids. Wonderful. So I'm bringing up this menu, and this menu is our navigation panel. You can bring this up by pressing N, and you will be able to basically kind of see everything around you in a little area. So we're just gonna hop over here, brake real quick, and give this a test. So these lasers aren't showing up. I don't know why. I might have been messing with my settings and might have accidentally removed them, but ooh, if I hold left shift I can free look around a little bit. But here, I'm gonna hold, if you hold left shift and use your mouse wheel, you can actually scroll around, and was hoping to show you guys how quickly this thing was mining. And so here's a good test. So I can't quite see it because the nose of my ship's in the way, but obviously we're taking out chunks of this asteroid at a time. And let's just see how long this takes to drill through. Just kind of counting. I'm doing a couple refreshes on the bottom left down there. You can see the cooldown of my salvage. So if we go into build mode, we can kind of see, yeah, we went straight through the asteroid fairly quickly. Really kind of wish I knew why it really wasn't doing what I wanted. I may have to put a camera up here, and that'll allow us to have a different viewpoint of our ship so we can see the very tip and see exactly what we're mining, but that's a feature that we don't quite have to worry about just yet. Let me check navigation. Okay. Still safe. Always good. Okay, let's add some armor here. Going up. There are some really wonderful builds in this game. I'm sure you guys can look on YouTube and actually find some really nice ones. But this is totally beginning phases. Gathering resources at the start, just like any other game mode, is super important when you're starting out like this. So that's why we are stuck basically building this tube all the way down just like that. All right. And we need these. Just like that. I'm actually kind of running out of slope blocks, which is a little weird. Could have sworn I made enough, but I guess not. That's normal as well. Yeah, this basically is just one big gun at the moment. A really ugly gun. Boop, boop. Let's get rid of that. We can just have a flat back for now. So yeah, this is our wonderful little mining laser. And we're going to start taking chunks out of the asteroid. And the advantage to doing this, you just do these large sweeps, and you just take large chunks out, and it allows you to just mine broadly very quickly. So, another thing I wanted to show you guys is I managed to find this. So I went to one of these stations. All of these stations are unknown until you actually go there. I went to this one. It's a derelict ship. I'm going to set a path there and we can head on over. It's going to take about 50 seconds if we go full speed. And the cool thing is we can salvage this thing. It's a old broken ship. You're going to get scrap parts. You're not going to get full parts out of it, which is wonderful because you used to be able to salvage these type of things and just sell them for almost an infinite amount of money. And so for them to fix that, I think is a wonderful balancing thing, but also allows us to salvage for useful material. I mean, these parts that we're going to be taking from the ship is all you need to make exactly what I made just now. 100% of this ship was made by salvaging part of this massive ship, and it's pretty cool looking. This is stuff that people can build, and I believe this is a community submission, so we can come over and take a look at this wonderful design. Now it's derelict because, as you can see, we have some holes in the ship. It's been kind of torn up. It's obviously not at a 100%, which is why it's been abandoned here. It has a bunch of holes, some debris kind of floating out of it, but it is definitely a beautiful design, and it hopefully, I'm not going to make anything this big, forewarned, but I do want to make some pretty cool designs of smaller ships, and this is just wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. So if I float around in build mode, I can actually show you guys a little bit more of the inside. As you can see, it has a nice bridge. It's got a full, like, lit up kind of console. If I had to guess, this is some type of map of the ship itself. You can see what quadrants are damaged. Looks like there's some damaged bits in the engine bays, light damage on the front, things like that. That's a really cool idea. So we are just here for scraps, so we're just going to start digging with our new and improved mining laser and start salvaging the ship. Oh, there you go. You can see the lasers now. Here, so you can see how much more solid it is than last time. Yeah, it's doing a nice full cover, and we are hopefully getting a decent amount of resources for this. Let's just zoom back into the cockpit. What we are getting are these scrap composites and scrap alloy. I think it's 5 per scrap to equal just 1 real alloy or crystal composite. So yeah, I mean, this ship is far more efficient than the last one we had. It just takes chunks, little chunks, and for this size, I think it's doing okay. People, I mean, there's some ships out there that are, in my opinion, a little OP. It's less fun, but there are people that can, like, eat an asteroid in like a half a second with their designs. Obviously, they have a bigger ship than us, and we're just gonna eat away, get all these components, and then craft more parts. And then I think the next ship we're going to build is our first little fighter to try and take out a pirate station. While exploring, I found one of those as well. If I zoom out here, I think, yep, this one right here is a pirate station. It has turrets, defenses, and I believe there's some pirates patrolling in the area in general. So we need to design a pretty decent ship for that. We need a decent amount of shields. We need bigger weapons, because the weapons on the starter ship couldn't even really do 1% of its HP when I was running away from them. And eventually we'll put turrets and build our base and put planetary defenses, because the pirates will try and raid your planet. It can get pretty intense after a while, and then when you save these ships as blueprints, the pirates will start spawning in your own ships, and you'll have to worry about fighting your own ships. And if you load other people's blueprints, you'll be fighting their ships, and so the better you get, it kind of automatically increases the difficulty. So I'm going to salvage this for a little bit, and then we'll go back to the planet, and I'll probably end the episode there. Okay everyone, so we are back at base. You can see kind of how big our little ship is, just next to our person. And obviously, you know, it basically is about the size of a double-decker bus at this point. It's not very pretty still. I ended up making the engine bay a little bit more streamlined though. And this is just for salvage purposes. The next ship we're going to build, of course, is the fighter, like I stated earlier. And let's go ahead and show you guys how to process this stuff we salvaged. So you're going to need this item. It's a micro assembler, and it assembles these micro blocks that we've been harvesting. As you can see, it takes about, five per one, I believe. And we'll get new alloyed metal mesh and new crystal composite, which will help us build bigger and better ships. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in more of these raw resources that we harvested to get more capsules. When we're making our actual fighter that we're going to be doing next, this highlight capsule is needed for the actual cannon barrels. So that's something to keep in mind for you guys' own builds. You're going to have to search for specific capsules to build certain types of ships. Salvage ships, all you need are the composites and alloys, and you can build that whole thing. So they're very easy generally to build. You can't get too fancy just yet, but it works. And so that will allow you to get resources quicker to allow you to build bigger ships, and then it starts just scaling from there. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are enjoying the content, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more gaming goodness. I actually wasn't planning to record another one of these so soon, but that's Ventrilo, of course. But I was hoping to record Terrafirmacraft. My friend seems to have been having internet problems, and we will have to be putting that off probably to a later date. But I am planning on starting that up again as a group survival series with one of my good friends that I grew up with. So, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching.